This is Business Tonight, the top stories. Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum says subsidy on petrol rises 81% in a month to $3.8 billion. Nigerian equities market slows Friday at 0.08%, despite halting 3 days losing streak Thursday. U.S. President Donald Trump threatens further $100 billion in tariffs against China, and U.S. dollar weakens over slowing jobs. I am Yemisi Lanredo. Nigeria's annual expenditure on fuel subsidy has risen to over 1.4 trillion naira. That's about $3.8 billion. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachiku, confirmed this while speaking at a liquefied petroleum gas workshop in Abuja. He described the expenditure as under recovery for supply of petroleum products across the country. The latest figure is about 81% higher than the earlier figure of 774 million naira daily. That's about $2.1 million given last month by the Group Managing Director of NNPC, Meikanti Baru, for the importation and distribution of petroleum products in the country. This means about $66 million is spent every month by government to subsidize the supply of an average of 50 million liters of petrol the NNPC says Nigerians consume every day. Well, Kachiku blamed rising subsidy figure on NNPC being the only marketer bearing the financial burden of importing and distributing petroleum products as the country's sole supplier of last resort. Now, despite Nigerian equities rebounding on resumed bargain hunting activities on Thursday, stock trading again dropped Friday to close the week. NSEO share index dropped by 0.08%. The Nigerian stock market had tumbled for the third day Wednesday as investors retreated following profit takings and low market sentiment. Well, let's talk market activities this week, and stockbroker Charles Fakhoga joins me by phone. Many thanks for your time, Mr. Fakhoga.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes, early this year, we experienced a kind of bullish returns at the market, but it seems that this few weeks back, it's been a bearish trend. What do you say is responsible for this whole activity?
Yes, like you have stated earlier, we had a kind of a bullish rally in the, let's say, first quarter of the year. Of course, the market will react based on the macroeconomic environment. The first quarter has gone. We are entering the second quarter, and then the market has to watch and see the macroeconomic condition, MPC meeting, inflation rate, the earnings reports from all these companies. So the market will only reflect what the economy holds for us. So for the second quarter, investors are cautious. People are watching to see what is going to happen, what are the economic indicators, what are going to come up with, and all that. So, but that's not to say that the market doesn't have its own behavior, but the market will react based on the macroeconomic environment. So there's a little bit of uncertainty by just starting the first quarter, and that's why we are seeing these negative returns, in the negative show in the market.
Yes, Charles, the MPC left interest rates unchanged due to looking at the macroeconomic policies and all that. One would have thought it would have had an effect that Wednesday, but we saw the halting on Thursday. What is responsible for that halt on Thursday?
Yes, of course. What really happened was there was so much. We're not expecting so much from that meeting, but again, the first MTC meeting you are holding for the year, all rates, everything remained unchanged. Of course, investors will be wondering, this is a little bit of uncertainty. So the only thing investors will be doing is to watch and see. They become very cautious. That's why we are seeing some of these happenings in the market.
All right, we keep watching the next MPC meeting and, of course, the quarterly reports. But for how long is this lag is going to be seen at the Nigerian stock market?
Well, as usual, like I said, the market has its own behavior, and there are so many other factors and elements that contribute to what we see in the market. Macroeconomic environment is one of them. However, at the same time, the earnings report for for last year are still coming to the market. This week we saw a lot of companies, Hallmark Insurance, Bay & Baker, Regency, Lasaco, sending their reports to the market. And some of these reports are very encouraging, okay? And we are seeing the market reacting. Despite generally the market is going down, but we see some of these specific equities doing so well. We've seen Bay & Baker doing very well this week because of the returns, their earnings report that they sent to the market. So this trend will not continue. The market is dynamic. We are going to be seeing both ups and downs, depending on the earnings reports that are coming to the market. You must also recall that first quarter is gone. Reports of first quarter will start filtering to the market, and if some of these equities or companies they do very well, it's going to impact on their share price.
All right, Charles Fakoga, would leave it at that, and we'll see how it goes in coming weeks. Many thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And from there, let's bring you closing figures of today's trading at the Nigerian stock market. Nigeria's vice president is optimistic that the Nigerian Economic Diplomacy Initiative will improve citizens' well-being. At the official launch of the policy in Abuja, Professor Yemi Osinbajo believes the NEDI initiative, which will be implemented by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is a game-changing synergy that has been waiting to happen. The policy is designed to enhance the capacity of Nigeria's diplomats to conduct economic diplomacy at a very practical level, both home and abroad.
That this initiative will enable Nigerians in the diaspora to find opportunities to contribute to national development through short-term assignments or by securing jobs is a particularly pleasing component of this initiative, and is one that I think we ought to pursue vigorously. It's also noteworthy that the Nigerian Economic Diplomacy Initiative will bring in the capacities of the Nigerian Foreign Service through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and its network of over 114 overseas missions to bear in promoting trade and investment flows from Nigeria and the rest of the world.
We call it the Nigerian Economic Diplomacy Initiative, NEDI. But in essence, it's a platform and a mechanism for connecting or matching businesses. A Nigerian wants to export goods to countries abroad. He would ordinarily face all kinds of challenges in Nigeria to start with, including numerous bureaucratic hurdles. Then, of course, the credibility issues that we Nigerians have unfortunately created for ourselves. It could be 419 scams or whatever. And then also the issue of visas to travel abroad. And the same thing conversely with foreigners wishing to invest in Nigeria. They would also face these challenges.
Nigeria is seeking partnership with Ukraine to help in developing the Nigerian inland waterways. Secretary to the government of the Federation, Boz Mustafa, disclosed this while receiving the Ukrainian delegation who are in Nigeria for a trade and investment forum. The delegation, led by Ukrainian Deputy Minister of Economic Development and Trade, is to explore more areas of economic cooperation with Nigeria.
Nigeria has over 10,000 kilometers of inland waterways. Out of this, about 4,000 is navigable all year round. I believe strongly for our economy to grow, we must begin to work assiduously to ensure that we develop our inland water ports so that we can take off the volume of traffic from our roads and to allow the roads have an expansion period or a sustainable period for a couple of years. The truth about it is that the weight load that we put on our roads today would not allow our roads to be available for a couple of years to come, except we invest heavily in terms of maintenance. But if you can develop our inland waterways, I believe that much of the bulk cargo can go onto the inland waterways like you have done in Ukraine by movement of grains on your inland waterways.
Nigeria is a strategic partner for us. Nigeria has been identified as the market in focus for Ukrainian exports in Ukrainian export strategy. But we believe in the government that trade is not a one-way street. And if we want to export to Nigeria, we need to look strategically. We also need to think about imports. We also need to think about cooperation, about joint production, and about using these opportunities of the global world, both at your continent and at our continent.
You're watching Business Tonight, and when we return, the trade war between U.S. and China is not ending soon as U.S. slams new tariffs. This is Business Tonight. Kellogg's Nigeria continues with its best offering campaign to the Nigerian market, this time showcasing its facility in Lagos. When in 2015, world-leading cereal maker Kellogg's announced plans for a multi-million-dollar expansion into Nigeria, the world was thrown into some disbelief, coming especially on the heels of some not so encouraging forecasts about the economic fortunes of the country. But Kellogg's was not just betting big on Nigeria. It knew what the breakfast foods and snacks market in the country was and was ready to push it past the boundaries of its potential. This is the first Kellogg's plant in Africa after 70 years, and 10 billion naira was invested to build the world-class facility, creating employment for thousands of people in Nigeria.
All over Nigeria. If you go to Abuja, we have our distribution network. We go to Port Harcourt, we have our distribution network, Onitsha, Ibadan. We are all over Nigeria presently. The various parts of Nigeria have been monitored or being handled by various zones. Like Ibadan, we have Ibadan, which is in the western parts, which handles Akure and some of Ilori, in as much as we're pushing this product, we put our offices in various key areas which can easily reach to the public within that facility.
And this facility, with its tiger symbol, which welcomes you, is the result of that multi-year planning and daring that joint venture of the world's biggest cereal maker, Kellogg's Tolaram Group, says will show it's ready for this market. A tour of the over $27 million Kellogg's Tolaram Nigeria Limited factory with the capacity to produce 10,000 metric tons of cereals per year tells it all. For Kellogg's Tolaram, safety is of the essence, and it's in your face as you begin the tour. Every member of staff or tourist is taken through safety measures, and the first port of call before proceeding to the production room is the high care area.
In terms of washing all dirts, cleaning of the hands.
Plus an air shower, this rids you of any dust before proceeding to the shop floor where production takes place. The shop floor is a highly sensitive area and quality control is important. Avindra Waman has served in the industry for about 22 years now. He knows what that means.
This is absolutely in terms of Kellogg standards. Is the manufacturing process, the approval process as per the Kellogg standards, and it's been taken care in terms of all food safety parts. Here we have the approval system in place, same what we have in Kellogg other plants.
All to meet world's best standard. Every hour, samples are collected at random and checked to ensure best quality food goes out.
Before every product is being dispatched, we do this process and we compare this process with the Kellogg's reference sample. The product evaluation system takes place of the packaging, the appearance, the flavor and the texture, the appearance, what is seen here. If what we are being produced is per Kellogg standard, the appearance, the color, the shape, is it okay? Then the flavor, what you feel in the mouth, then the texture, you bite, crunchy, crispy, and everything here is per Kellogg standard. Okay, then the packaging, we take care of the text, what we see, if this is what we want to see. Then the sealing, we do not want moisture to enter our packed product, so we make sure that it's sealed properly.
Basically, with water quality is just to ensure that the water we use in our process, clean of our equipment of quality, and we have systems that have been put in place to ensure that our water is of quality.
After every measure of compliance is adhered to, it is time for post-production with the state-of-the-art machinery for packaging. Here and now, we have a different variety of crunchy and tasty cereals ranging from cornflakes, Cocoa Pops, Rice Krispies, fruit and fiber, amongst others, all fortified with 11 minerals and vitamins, which makes the healthy offerings the darling of Nigerians.
Kellogg's is the #1 brand when it comes to cereals in the world, and we all will keep innovating and producing the food that families like, and we will maintain our #1 brand.
Kellogg's foray into the market has helped to reduce the unemployment gap the economy suffers. More than 2,000 Nigerians have been sucked into the system, and one thing is significant with this firm: workers are given the opportunities they require.
We are into the above-the-line marketing strategy, and we bought on the line marketing strategy which are available in the market. We do one-on-one contact with individuals. Presently, we are doing a lot of marketing activities around. We're doing sampling. We're engaging people, letting them know this new Kellogg product produced in Nigeria, the quality, the vitamin fortification, and it's been a whole interesting process all the while.
With these testimonies, there is no other time for Kellogg's expansion. The 24-hour production facility is powered by gas turbines, so the Kellogg's breakfast time is not missed. And true to its words, breakfast time is Kellogg's time. Well, globally now, in an escalation of a tense trade standoff between the U.S. and China, President Donald Trump has now instructed officials to consider a further $100 billion of tariffs against China. These will be in addition to the $50 billion worth of U.S. tariffs already proposed on hundreds of Chinese imports. The tit-for-tat trade moves have unsettled global markets, and the latest U.S. proposal came after China threatened tariffs on 106 key U.S. products. Analysts have warned of the risk of a full-blown trade war for the global economy and markets, and believe ongoing behind-the-scenes negotiations between the two giants are crucial. Market reaction in Asia on Friday suggested investors were relatively untroubled by the latest twist. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index rose more than 1%, while Japan's Nikkei edged lower. Meanwhile, China's Ministry of Commerce responded, saying China will not hesitate to pay any price to defend its interests. In response to Trump's latest announcement, Foreign Minister Wang Yi said China and the U.S. as two world powers should treat each other on a basis of equality and with respect. But Ministry of Commerce spokesperson Gao Feng said if the U.S. bends on its unilateralism and trade protectionism, China is bound to adopt comprehensive countermeasures to defend its interests.
On the U.S. statement, we will hear what it says and what it does. if the United States bends on its acts of unilateralism and trade protectionism in total disregard of the opposition from China and the international community, China will see it through to the end at any cost. China is bound to resolutely retaliate by taking new comprehensive countermeasures to defend the interests of the country and people. The trade conflict between China and the United States was provoked by the United States. The essence of the conflict is the U.S. challenging the global multilateralism with its unilateralism and challenging the global free trade with its protectionism. China will continue expanding reform and opening up, safeguard the multilateral trade system, and push the liberalization and facilitation of global trade and investment.
Well, in a blunt reaction, experts say the real intention behind the U.S. trade war with China is to curb the latter's economic development. That suggestion by British academic Martin Jacques he says it's hard to predict whether the U.S. will eventually benefit from that move.
I think that the latest announcement represents a serious escalation of the trade war being pursued by the United States. First, it was about China was accused of currency manipulation. They dropped that. Then they talked about the trade deficit. Now I think this reveals what America's real intentions, main intention is, which is to try and make it much more difficult for China to transform its economy and to develop these leading industries as major global competitors, winners probably.
And U.S. employers added fewer jobs than expected in March, with the economy adding 103,000 posts last month. The figure from the Labor Department was below expectations, as analysts had predicted about 193,000. The dollar also weakened against major currencies as a result of the slow growth. March's figure was a sharp slowdown from the 326,000 jobs that were created in February, but the unemployment rate remained unchanged at 4.1%. And crude oil prices take a downward direction in the world market Friday. At the London market, the Brent rates was $68 a barrel, dropping value by 27 cents. The OPEC basket crude trades lower at $64 a barrel. The trade war tension continues, but this tension affecting many global markets. We keep keeping tab on activities globally. And that's Business Tonight. Thank you for your time. I am Yemisi Lanredo.